War in the human sphere is a nuanced thing. There's much more going on than meets the eye. There are hardly any open military fronts, and all conflicts are carried out covertly. The clashes between the great powers are conducted in whispers and shadows. International pressure and O-12's armed vigilance don't allow for large military ventures in a scenario as complicated as the current one, with an alien invader grudgingly admitted within the sphere. Conflicts are carried out clandestinely, with targeted actions in remote areas, false flag operations, or through proxies. These actions are connected to economic, industrial, and commercial activity, and to the interests of the great powers and the corporations that sustain them. Restrained moves with the aim of crippling the adversary or gaining some advantage, but without escalating the conflict. Operations veiled under the cloak of intelligence services, where all true intentions are concealed and everything you see and hear is a lie. The same thing happens on the battlefield, or rather in the theater of operations. You may think you see what happens on the ground, but there's much more going on behind the scenes that you're missing. Aero remotes plant micro-nodes everywhere in the area to build a robust data sphere for the operations of tactical hackers. Sentinel remotes, backed up by satellite surveillance, provide invaluable data for the command and control network and the EVO hackers, the strategic cyber operators who control from a long distance, sometimes even from orbit, the entire invisible data sphere and the peripherals that support it. In addition to that, there are all the airborne autonomous killer devices deployed to shoot down enemy aero remotes. There is a massive swarm of tiny flying robots over the area of operations that any casual observer might not notice, but which is essential for tactical hackers. These are the cyber operators who work directly on the ground, making the most of command and control networks to provide better intel and more accuracy for the actions of the rest of the troops, especially the robotic ones, but also to hinder enemy operations by disabling any resource they have, be it quantronic or physical. They will corrupt the enemy's data sphere, disrupt its systems, jam, and even cripple enemy remotes and armored troops, take out other hackers. Anything that is networked will be a target for them. But none of this will suffice if you don't have the muscle to back it up, and there is no better muscle in the human sphere than armored troops. The exoskeleton technology that enhances the capabilities of its operator, wrapped in protective armor and coupled with self-medical systems that monitor their vital signs and help heal or contain any physical damage they may sustain, has become a dominant feature in any area of operations. This tech materializes in two types of troops differentiated by their size: heavy infantry and tags. Heavy infantry troops are equipped with servo-powered armor that allows them to resist damage, operate in toxic environments, run faster, jump farther, and be more accurate and lethal. In short, be all that they can be. And if heavy infantry are the foot soldiers of the future, tags, or tactical armored gear, are their massive, super-powered equivalent. Humanoid weapons platforms standing over 10 feet tall, they are the modern equivalent of tanks. More dynamic, more versatile, and still capable of packing heavy artillery, they are the armored solution to modern-day asymmetric operational settings, engineered to operate in urban areas, tunnels, and the narrow corridors of orbital stations and bases located underground or on the surface of asteroids and planetoids. The kind of places where a tank doesn't fit, or its mobility might be severely impaired. Thus, tags have emerged as the main offensive resource for any restricted or covert action, since, just like the heavy infantry, many of them feature stealth technology and thermo-optical cloaking systems. After all, modern warfare requires that enemy troops can't see you, and even the media has no idea that you exist. Nevertheless, a hulking, invisible war machine is not the nastiest surprise you may come across on a battlefield in the human sphere. Stealth technology is also used by swift, sneaky assassins, highly skilled in martial arts and the use of bladed weapons, or by deadly snipers who can take down targets from the other end of the area of operations by implementing the surveillance systems of that swarm of unseen aero remotes. But that hidden swarm can also be used to track down those hidden enemies and terminate them with precision-guided munition. The swarm can also assist a tactical hacker provide flight support to troops being deployed to the front line via an orbital or suborbital dive, both from spacecraft at a low orbit and from a carrier flying at high altitude, either inside a drop pod or using a jetpack that will also allow them to bound around on the ground with high jumps and a limited flight capability. The varying robot units can also be just as dangerous because they perform all kinds of roles in combat, from tracking hidden threats to taking care of logistical and supply tasks, performing tactical combat functions like those of other troops, providing artillery support, and even acting as loitering munition. Since they first were deployed on the front lines, remotes have consistently demonstrated that, in combat, they are a soldier's best friend. However, high-tech is not the only thing that troops should fear in these covert wars, since those who don't have access to state-of-the-art technology often resort to alien assets found on the many exotic planets that are part of the human sphere, from vicious alien canids with enhanced senses and nasty claws to alien werewolves and werebears that can easily tear through the most steadfast of soldiers and militias of amphibious creatures hailing from the deep and dangerous seas of ocean worlds. Those who do not have access to such monsters may have also created their own creatures, such as modified beasts, used to compete in illegal fighting rings, and dolphins with enhanced intelligence turned into daring spacecraft pilots. Furthermore, cyber implants and advanced medicine have been used to develop different super soldier programs that have a common goal of achieving the strategic advantage that leads to victory against the enemy. There are also special recon teams for recovering the cubes of troops who have fallen in combat, so they can be recycled into action by downloading their consciousness, memories, and expertise into new biosynthetic bodies. Not to mention the AI personality aspects that are perpetually connected to an uplink, so they can switch from one of such bodies to a different one at will. Essentially, warfare technology is relentlessly driving us toward transhumanism, but it is doing so surreptitiously and under a label that reads highly classified. The common saying, "That which you cannot see can kill you," could not be any truer when it comes to the current conflicts in the human sphere. It's not just all these devices and troops that are out of your sight in the area of operations lying in wait to kill or maim you, but rather it is the conflict itself that will go completely unnoticed because it won't be reported in your newsfeed, even though it is guaranteed to have a major impact on your life. Covert conflicts, even when they have limited effects, also come at a cost. You may lose your job when your company goes bankrupt due to a malicious episode of corporate espionage, or your favorite snack may stop being available in the online supermarket because the ingredients needed to make it no longer exist after an eco-terrorist attack, or you may find yourself caught in the middle of a firefight during the abduction of a leading scientist by a rival corporation. It's an easy thing to digest when one is sacrificed on the altar of the great power's spurious interests, and it is even easier to digest when that sacrifice is concealed under countless veils of secrecy and disinformation. Such are modern-day conflicts, invisible perhaps, but still quite deadly.